Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far as Paris Legion make the first part of their roster change ahead of the Stage 1 major official. Shotzi's been told about a major announcement OpTic have just around the corner. Could it be a potential OpTic Academy team that is in the works? Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really up to the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, this is Octane. Just a couple of days away now until we get a spawn in our local area network once again. Well, I don't. But, well, the pros do. It's a good time. They're going to be out here in Texas. I imagine they're flying out today. Firstly, breaking point, just wanted to say real quick, Fantasy is still available. 2 more days. You guys have to sign up and get your team submitted. Now, I did go through and choose my team until you go onto the website here. You pick the squads. Now, look, I actually had a bit of thinking about this, and I'm not really sure I've gone for the best set of 4. I kind of wanted to get a FaZe player, and I wanted to get an OpTic player, but just the way the bracket works with FaZe and OpTic playing each other, potentially winners round 2, wasn't so convinced. So, well, I just went for Dashy on OpTic. I think he's been playing well as of late. $7 seems pretty reasonable for him because he had a pretty poor first couple of series against London and Minnesota, I believe. Kenny for 7 seems pretty reasonable as well. I think if anything, Los Angeles Thieves should get better when they go to LAN. The issue is really, like, I'm just expecting Los Angeles Thieves to beat Toronto, and then, like, Hydra, I think, could do a pretty decent job against Toronto. Like, I'm trying to figure out how the bracket might work, and then it should be Boston lose to FaZe, and then Boston would play up against Florida and Vivid. So, like, that's kind of what I'm thinking there. You guys, I'm sure, will make much better teams. There's so many ways you can go with this with the $25 budget, but, yeah, I'm hopeful these boys can pull through. Let's dive straight into this then from the Paris Legion. Today we say thank you and goodbye to Decimate for his time serving with the Legion, wishing him nothing but the best going forwards. Merci beaucoup, Decimate, they say right here. So he's out of there. Like, he's had quite the tumultuous time the last year or so, right? Like, when he had the whole Seattle Surge thing, then he leaves and he's like, okay, well, I don't think this team has any potential, so I'm just not going to ruin my stock. Then he kind of gets the subliners opportunity, right, when Asim had the visa issues. Kind of played pretty well in that particular situation. Gets the chance here on Paris, and well, they haven't won a series yet, right? They're 0-5. They lost to the Kickoff Classic as well. They're going here into the major with, well, a difficult spot because, of course, with the worst seeding, they play theoretically the hardest team. At least, well, they play the hardest matchup they would have, 12th seed against either 4th or 5th. They play the loser, I believe, of OpTic or Seattle, which is, of course, not going to be easy. But yeah, it seems like Paris have decided already they're going to make a roster move, which, like, credit to them, right, for actually making a change. We did hear this rumor a few days ago. Okay, wow, Paris are actually doing something here. They're going to make an attempt because, you know, the likes of Aches have said, and I think for good reason, like, okay, what Paris are even doing? Why are they still even here in the CDL? Why haven't they sold their spot yet? Like, and why would they want to spend any more money, right, if they're just going to sell their spot anyway at the end of the year, or whatever the plan might be. But look, it's good to at least try and be competitive. You can still make it to the World Championship in theory. There's other teams so far, like New York, that have underperformed, so maybe you can, well, an option like this could come on the table. So Decimate's officially out of there. He hasn't tweeted anything about it. Like, I'm not really sure what the future is for him, but this also, I did notice that Jimbo, who was initially rumored to be on this team replacing Decimate, but then the idea was potentially that just Gravity is going to come in for Decimate, and Fellow is going to kind of go to the flex role with them, you know, Temp and John still kind of staying on the SMGs, I guess, is the plan over there. Now, I thought that Jimbo was maybe liking this tweet, as you can see. This is, like, in his likes column here on Twitter, just because, you know, despite the Paris Legion or whatever, but it's possible he's actually still going to get signed to the team. So initially we heard from Chrome that, yes, Jimbo, like, well, French-Canadian SMG player, was going to be joining Paris Legion alongside Gravity, replacing Decimate and Fellow, but apparently Fellow might be staying. We're not really sure what's happening on that front, to be honest, but Jimbo does then confirm this, or at least he tweets out the contract signed gif, which it doesn't really confirm anything, but he says that he's probably been signed somewhere or another. So either this is some sort of academy team, or whatever the case might be, we'll have a look at what OpTic have to say here in a second, or it's actually the Paris Legion that decided to bring him on. Because in fairness, Paris don't have a substitute. To be fair, a lot of teams don't have a substitute right now, or they have their coach officially penciled in as the substitute. Not really going to work out for them, right, if they actually have to make a change like that. So maybe they think, okay, maybe we'll put Fellow on the bench. Decimate's officially, like, completely gone. He's straight out of there. That contract has been revoked, I guess, and that ship has sailed. But, you know, maybe Jimbo comes in anyway, either as a starter or on the bench or whatever they decide to do. So that's a possibility. Interesting stuff. Of course, like, still, this 2-person change, I'm not sure is really going to take this squad to the next level. Like, they might become like a Boston type team, or maybe slightly worse than that, where, okay, yes, they've got some upside potential, they've got some talent there, but still, they're not going to be more than like a top 8 team in the league at best, and more than likely they still won't be making champs. But still, good to see them making an attempt. We'll see what they confirm here in the coming days. This also on the OpTic front, so sometime later today, an OpTic announcement is coming, which seems like a relatively big announcement. Some people have been theorizing, what could this potentially be? Of course, OpTic is an organization, they're in quite a lot of esports at this point, but I mean, look, they're still, I'm not sure they have the Rocket League team. There's some esports that Envy are in that OpTic aren't in, that maybe OpTic could just take over the branding of, which is a possibility. But if they do that, it doesn't really seem like a major announcement. There was also some talk about Counter-Strike, but I'm pretty sure that OpTic won't be getting in this quickly. It's, well, difficult to be successful over there. There's so many fantastic teams. The other possibility, of course, which was rumored a while ago, is like, could OpTic actually have an academy team on the Call of Duty side? Because so many other teams have done that over the last few weeks. We've got Minnesota, right, picking up the Spanish guys. Toronto as well have brought on 2 academy teams in the last few days. They brought on a European academy team, a Vortex's team, and then they brought on some Canadian players as well to kind of also have a North American academy team. So some teams have kind of seen it worthwhile over the last few weeks to, okay, like maybe let's get an academy, especially because OpTic's kind of at, well, theoretical, not technically their academy squad, but they're kind of at second team in a way called Texas Nation, which General as their substitute has kind of led. Like, they're doing pretty well right now. So maybe it makes sense, or maybe Hicksy thinks it might make sense finally to actually bring an academy team into the situation here, because of course those guys are good practice, I imagine, behind the scenes for search and destroy and stuff. Great team. Like, it's great to have an academy in the same region so that you can play them in search and destroy. You don't have to worry too much about giving away strats to opposition if you want to play them in search and destroy practice. So there's all these benefits that can come through, and of course a lot of these players actually that are on this team could well be sold off to other organizations, especially the likes of Havoc, for example, because he's been playing very well as of late as well. So as Shotzzy says, I'm not leaking again, he says. So clearly someone actually told him what's going on, and you thought, okay, maybe if it's another esport thing, like, would they have told him what's going on here? Like, if it was a Call of Duty related thing, they'd almost certainly have told him, right? Which makes me think, okay, if this was Rocket League or some other esport, I'm not really sure what OpTic and Envy are particularly involved in and what they could work out, but still, if it's Call of Duty, you'd imagine he would have been told, so maybe that's what it is. But Shotzzy's doing his best not to leak things again, but who knows, tune into a stream later today, probably by then it'll already be announced, so I suppose we shall see. But maybe the OpTic Texas Academy could become a reality, as Kismet says. Myself, Colt, Havoc, General, and Brezzy, and Mayhem, I think Mayhem's the coach right now, are still in search of an academy team / organization. So that's the thing, he tweets this out, which of course does imply this isn't going to be the announcement, but who knows, maybe it's just bait or whatever, because they're calling themselves #Texas Nation. So we'll see what they decide to do. There's also a couple of things to Crown on the league play front or the rank play front right now. Suspensions have finally been added, so if you leave games, you'll get suspended finally. That's a pretty cool thing, a feature that should have been there, I suppose, from launch, but good to see the track guys that are working with Cellium to sort this out are actually, stepping things up in the right direction. Of course, there is still some issues, right, in the fact that some players are losing massive amounts of SR even when they win. Now, I think some of this is meant to be for penalising players who previously left games. If you left games, like, you're now going to get docked SR, even though it's not really clear why that's happening or what's happening there. Like, if anything, it feels like they just need to kind of reset it from scratch, right, and just say, okay, go again. The system's better now and it's fixed. So, this is a beta after all. Now, I don't really know what they're planning to do, but definitely still some kinks to be figured out here on the ranked play front. As Scum says, it's Major Week, only a couple of days away from this getting back in business, and the FaZe guys seem to be very confident indeed. Of course, they're coming in as pretty much the only S-tier team coming into this event. Some people might certainly disagree. We'll have a look at what the reverse sweep guys here says in just a second, but as Simp says, can't wait for the major to start, been feeling super good in practice. That's obviously a scary sign for the opposition, right, because Simp kind of started out this season looking slower than he has done in previous seasons, and if they're back in business, it's obviously a scary sign for the opposition. They play in round 1 Boston Bridge. If they win that, they play the winner of OpTic versus Seattle Surge, and then from there, who knows. But thankfully this year, there's no buys in the winners bracket, right? FaZe they're not already sitting in winners round 2, where they're going to have to win 3 series to win the entire tourney. Like, if they're going to win this tourney, they're going to have to fight for it, right? Now, this I did think was a pretty interesting comment from Arcitys. I was talking to Gizmo yesterday, a bit of Rabception on the screen right now, over at the Breaking Point channel. A lot of these interviews are now live over there, and it was really great to chat to Gizmo about how he came up and how exactly he found himself on the London team. One of the things he said I thought was pretty interesting was that in terms of London's chemistry, no other team in the league is anywhere close to them in terms of chemistry. These guys get on way too well. They really understand what they're going to do, how they're going to play. Gizmo, Afro, and Zero all played together last year in challenges. As a trio, didn't really work out too well for them there, but clearly seems to be working out for them pretty well as part of the London Royal Ravens as well. He also had some words to say on what people were saying about, calling them onliners and stuff going into this major. But, still, Arcitys, I thought, had an interesting response, because we well know that FaZe's chemistry is also pretty good, right? These guys get on pretty well, but that's the thing, as Arcitys says, you've seen the Atlanta FaZe chemistry, come on. So, Arcitys doesn't necessarily agree the London have far and away the best chemistry, which of course you would well expect him to say, and of course these guys have won a fair amount together as well. So we'll see how time treats both of these lineups. This also, because, of course, the OpTic Texas major one is coming up. There are actually some rewards going on this weekend. If you connect your account, the account sharing type thing, you get this type of stuff that comes up on screen. Look, it's not spectacular at all, but apparently there's snake camo type thing. Item will be in the game at a later date, so not really sure this is already here yet. Who really knows? But again, there's some sort of snake camo going on. I guess it looks okay, to be honest. Look, it's nothing spectacular, but at least they are offering some things in the game. There's okay, double XP, double weapon XP. They're trying to do something, right? And there's relatively cool camos. It would be better if there was an outfit you got, right? But okay, it's stepping stones in the right direction. Let's mention this real quick then. So I wanted to just discuss the power rankings at the reverse Street guys came up with last night. Thought they were pretty good, to be honest, right? We looked at them, well, the ones that the flank came up with a few days ago, and I think they were a little bit questionable at times. This is what they've gone for. I think this is pretty good, to be honest. I think a lot of people were putting Ultra like way down the pack, which I think is understandable on the current form they showed in week 3. But then again, like, this team has not placed outside of the top 3 in a major at any event in the last, well, since they picked up Insight. I honestly feel like that might happen to them this time because they play Thieves round 1. Like, it's not going to be easy to make a lower bracket run if that's how it goes. But I mean, still, these guys on LAN have been incredibly consistent. So I think for now, putting them at the top of the A tier is probably reasonable enough. I'm not sure anyone matches FaZe right now in the S tier in terms of likelihood to win the event. Like, that's the only team that you can say right now comfortably should win 2 or more events this season. The rest of the teams are kind of there, like, well, could certainly win an event, but it might not happen. Putting OpTic slightly above LA, I think, is interesting because, of course, on LAN, LA Thieves did get the better of OpTic, but at the same time, OpTic the last couple of weeks definitely did look pretty much unbeatable at times. And in fairness, LA Thieves, their online games haven't been against the hardest opposition. London are just behind them. I think that's probably fair enough. Keep them in the A tier. They've been looking so good. They're 4-1, but yet to prove it on LAN. Then we've got Seattle actually in the middle of the B tier. Quite interesting having them behind Los Angeles Guerrillas, but you know, I guess Ace is kind of making the point they should maybe have been 1-4 here, right, without some heroics game 5/11 for accuracy in those kind of situations. And then, yeah, C and D tier maybe well as expected, but pretty good list on the whole. I'm sure this is going to change up somewhat after this event, especially when some upsets come through, as they always do. I'm obviously hoping the Ultra and the London boys could do pretty well, but I wouldn't be too surprised after this tournament if London and Ultra even get swapped here, right? I think that London could have a fantastic go, and Ultra definitely have a difficult bracket on their hands, but we shall see how things progress. And just to finish out with this Masters as well, imagine waking up, playing and watching Uplick every single day. This, of course, back in the good old, the good old Infinite Warfare days. I mean, look at this stuff. Okay, camo was pretty ridiculous, not gonna lie. But there were some good moments in Uplick. I think one of the more entertaining game modes I've ever had, like, Control on Gamma 2 doesn't really compare too much to, I mean, what is this? A Frost Uplink. You've got, Precinct Uplink, Breach Uplink, Fringe, Evac, just all classic maps from back in the day. But very much intrigued to a comeback, of course, as well. I just have to mention before we close things out. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hitting the like button tells the YouTube gods it's a good video. I just like you should see it as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Then, as always, take care. And I will see you next time.
He's somehow still alive. He's got to pop camo. He gets to the edge. 4, 3, 2. Oh! There's the dunk! Priestahh! Take that!